martial law ended in the Philippines through people power. Then we started thinking now about unifying all the pro and anti, and we had a conference in San Francisco in '86, and we planned for a national conference in Anaheim for '87. And in '87, we formed the NFAC, the National Filipino American Council. Remember, Dennis was elected national president. I was elected national vice president. And the idea was that we would have NFAC chapters throughout the U.S. And we would be finally, because there were national Chinese and Japanese and all of these groups, but there was no national Filipino group until the NFAC was formed. But unfortunately, the NFAC idea didn't develop much beyond, and there was a national group in San Francisco with Dennis and myself and a few others. But we weren't able to develop chapters anywhere except Monterey. The interesting was Monterey was the only NFAC chapter that was formed. I mean, there was a San Francisco Philan Council, but that had preceded the NFAC, and it really didn't see itself as part of the NFAC. And San Mateo, well, when people would get together, they would all, but they wouldn't meet outside of when a national president would come. So the only NFAC chapter that was formed was the Monterey, under the leadership of Efren and all the others who were here. So so that was from '87 until in 1996, we had a meeting in San Francisco, and we were talking about, well, the idea of having a national organization, we have to revive that, because there were legislation being discussed regarding immigration. There were all of these issues, and we were not at the table. You know, we would read about the Chinese and the Japanese and other groups being there and influencing legislation, but there were no Filipinos at the table in Washington, D.C. To advance the issue of the veterans, to advance our other issues. So we felt the time was right. And I remember in January of '97, we had a meeting right in this building to discuss the idea of the NFAC hosting and asking all the national groups to come together and form another national organization that can continue the idea that we have in India. And we had a very spirited discussion about that here in this building. And many of the ideas that were formed and discussed here was what eventually, when we met in August in Washington, D.C., and the NaFFAA was formed out of the organization. And the NaFFAA, which was formed in August of '97 with Alex Esclamado as the national president for the first 4 years, and then Loida Nicolas Lewis, the head of TLC Beatrice, one of the richest in the U.S., because succeeded him. Then after that, Alma Kern from Seattle was national president for 2 years, and then just now, last September or October, we met in Seattle, and Greg Macabenta from San Francisco, Bay City, who's the publisher of Filipinas magazine, was elected national president.